Is Arizona's desert dream becoming your financial nightmare? Across the Grand Canyon state, families who chase Sunbelt promises are now watching their equity vanish as home values crash by up to 20% in just 18 months. From Phoenix's sprawling suburbs to Sedona's Red Rock retreats, these 10 cities are flashing the same warning signs that triggered the 2008 housing collapse. Only this time, it's hitting harder and faster. Could your neighborhood be next? Number 10. Might shock you. Surprise, Arizona wasn't even on most housing crash radar screens until recently. This unassuming town northwest of Phoenix built its reputation on steady growth and affordable family living. Back in 2022, homes here averaged $312,000, attracting young families and retirees seeking desert tranquility without the Phoenix price tag. But 2025 tells a dramatically different story. The median home price has plummeted to $268,000, a devastating 14% drop that's wiping out equity for thousands of homeowners. What makes this crash particularly alarming is how quickly it happened. Properties that used to sell within 2 weeks are now sitting for 90-plus days, with desperate sellers slashing prices by $20,000 or more. The insurance crisis hit Surprise especially hard. Homeowners are now paying $6,000 to $8,000 annually for coverage, sometimes doubling their total housing costs overnight. When your insurance payment exceeds your mortgage, the math simply doesn't work anymore. Population data reveals the exodus is real. Surprise lost over 4,000 residents in 2024 alone, its first population decline in 3 decades. Empty driveways and for sale signs tell the story that statistics confirm. New construction projects have stalled mid-development, leaving half-built neighborhoods as monuments to overconfidence. If a stable, well-managed city like Surprise can unravel this quickly, what does that mean for Arizona's larger, more vulnerable markets? Number 9. Kasa Grande shows exactly how economic vulnerability translates into housing disaster. This manufacturing hub between Phoenix and Tucson was once Arizona's blue-collar success story, anchored by steady factory jobs and affordable homes. In 2022, the median home price sat at a reasonable $295,000, making it a magnet for working families. Then the dominoes started falling. Lucid Motors announced major layoffs in late 2024, cutting over 800 jobs from their Kasa Grande facility. Boeing's parts supplier followed suit, eliminating another 400 positions. When paychecks disappear, mortgage payments become impossible. The housing market responded brutally. Home prices crashed to $252,000 by early 2025, a devastating 15% plunge. But that's just the beginning. Foreclosure filings spiked by 73% year over year, with entire neighborhoods now dotted with bank-owned properties. Builders who rushed in during the boom are fleeing fast. 3 major residential developments were canceled mid-construction, leaving skeletal frames and empty lots as reminders of misplaced optimism. The oversupply is staggering. Housing inventory jumped 120% since last year, while buyer demand evaporated. Days on market tell the story. Homes now sit for over 100 days compared to just 25 in 2022. Desperate sellers are offering $10,000 concessions and still can't find buyers. When manufacturing towns lose their economic foundation, the ripple effects reach far beyond factory gates, especially in communities where retirees thought they'd found their perfect desert refuge. Number 8. Kingman proves that even retirement havens aren't immune when costs spiral out of control. This historic Route 66 town was supposed to be the perfect place to stretch your pension dollars, with median home prices at just $245,000 in 2022. Retirees flocked here for affordable desert living and that classic small-town charm. But fixed incomes don't stretch when everything else explodes in price. Utility bills have skyrocketed by 40% since 2023, with some residents now paying over $300 monthly for electricity during Arizona's brutal summers. Water rates jumped another 35% as aging infrastructure struggles to keep up. The retiree exodus is real and measurable. Mojave County lost over 2,000 residents aged 65 and older in 2024, many citing unsustainable living costs. When your core demographic abandons ship, housing demand collapses. Home prices reflect this demographic disaster, dropping to $208,000 by early 2025, a devastating 15% decline. Properties now sit on the market for an average of 110 days, nearly quadruple the 2022 timeframe. Some homes have been listed for over 6 months with multiple price cuts. New construction has virtually stopped. Only 12 building permits were issued in the first quarter of 2025, compared to 87 in the same period 2 years ago. Empty lots and stalled projects dot the landscape. When communities built around seasonal visitors and tourism suddenly find those revenue streams drying up, the housing crash accelerates even faster. Number 7, Lake Havasu City demonstrates just how vulnerable tourism economies become when visitors stop coming. This Colorado River playground built its housing market on seasonal buyers and vacation rental investors. In 2022, waterfront properties commanded $450,000 as out-of-state buyers competed for their slice of desert paradise. That party's over. The short-term rental market has completely collapsed. Airbnb occupancy rates plummeted from 78% in 2022 to just 31% by late 2024. When your rental income disappears, those investment properties become financial anchors. The investor sell-off is creating a flood of listings. Over 40% of current home sales are from investors trying to cut their losses before values drop further. This panic selling has driven median prices down to $365,000, an 18% crash that's accelerating. Seasonal population data tells the real story. Winter visitor numbers dropped by 35% in 2024, the steepest decline since the city started tracking tourism. Empty vacation homes line the shoreline like monuments to speculation gone wrong. Days on market have exploded to 125 days, with many properties sitting unsold for over 6 months. Desperate sellers are offering massive concessions, including paying buyers closing costs and throwing in boats or recreational vehicles just to move inventory. When tourism dries up, it doesn't just hurt hotels and restaurants. The economic ripple effects hit communities that depend on cross-border commerce and agricultural exports even harder. Number 6, Yuma faces a perfect storm of economic pressures that's crushing its housing market from multiple directions. This border city built its economy on agriculture and cross-border trade, with median home prices reaching $278,000 in 2022 as families sought affordable living near steady jobs. But Yuma's economic foundation is cracking. The agriculture sector, which employs over 15,000 residents, has been devastated by extreme weather and water restrictions. Crop yields dropped 28% in 2024, forcing major employers like Dole and Taylor Farms to cut hundreds of positions. When your biggest industry shrinks, housing demand evaporates. Climate change is making things worse. Yuma recorded 47 days over 115 degrees in 2024, breaking all previous records. Cooling costs have tripled for many homeowners, with summer electric bills exceeding $600 monthly. That's pushing total housing costs beyond what most working families can afford. Cross-border commerce, once a reliable economic pillar, has declined sharply. Trade volume through Yuma's port of entry dropped 18% since 2023, eliminating jobs and reducing local spending power. The housing market reflects this economic decline. Median prices have fallen to $235,000, a 15.5% drop. Foreclosure filings increased 62% year over year as families struggle with job losses and soaring utility costs. Properties now sit for an average of 98 days, with many requiring multiple price cuts to attract any interest. But even mountain communities with natural advantages aren't escaping this statewide housing crisis. Number 5, Flagstaff proves that even Arizona's most desirable locations can price themselves into crisis. This mountain town seemed bulletproof, with Northern Arizona University anchoring the economy and outdoor recreation, drawing visitors year-round. In 2022, median home prices hit $520,000 as buyers paid premium prices for pine trees and cooler temperatures. But Flagstaff has priced out its own workforce. Teachers, firefighters, and hospital workers can't afford to live where they work. The median income is $62,000, while home ownership requires over $100,000 annually. That math simply doesn't work. The university town dynamics are backfiring. Student housing developments flooded the market, but enrollment dropped 8% in 2024. Empty units designed for students are now competing with family housing, creating oversupply in both markets. Resort property speculation is unwinding fast. Luxury vacation homes that commanded premium prices are now sitting unsold for months. The high-end market correction has been brutal, with some properties dropping over $100,000 from peak pricing. Local exodus data is alarming. Coconino County lost 1,200 working-age residents in 2024, the largest outflow in 2 decades. When your essential workers can't afford to live locally, the entire community structure starts breaking down. Current median prices have dropped to $440,000, but even that 15% decline isn't enough to restore affordability. Days on market have tripled to over 100 days as buyers realize mountain living isn't worth financial ruin. Arizona's second-largest metropolitan area is discovering that size doesn't guarantee immunity from these same market forces. Number 4, Tucson shatters the myth that major metropolitan areas are safe from housing crashes. Arizona's second-largest city seemed insulated by its diverse economy and university presence. Median home prices peaked at $395,000 in 2022 as tech companies expanded and retirees flocked to master-planned communities. That stability is crumbling fast. The tech sector's slowdown hit Tucson harder than expected. Raytheon announced layoffs affecting over 1,000 employees, while several smaller tech firms either downsized or relocated entirely. When high-paying jobs disappear, the luxury housing market collapses first. The retiree market has reached saturation point. Pima County's 65-plus population grew by only 2% in 2024, the smallest increase in 15 years. Retirement communities that once had waiting lists now offer incentives just to fill units. When your primary buyer demographic stops growing, demand stagnates. Housing inventory has surged by 89% since last year. The metro area now has over 8 months of available supply, well into buyer's market territory. Institutional investors who once competed aggressively for properties are retreating, with some major firms halting all Tucson acquisitions. Current median prices have dropped to $342,000, a 13% decline that's accelerating. Properties sit for an average of 85 days, with luxury homes taking even longer. Multiple price reductions have become standard. Even smaller mountain communities that market themselves as exclusive retirement destinations are watching their carefully cultivated reputations crumble under economic pressure. Number 3, Prescott shows how retirement havens can become financial traps when costs spiral beyond fixed incomes. This picturesque mountain town marketed itself as the perfect place to enjoy your golden years, with median home prices reaching $485,000 in 2022, as retirees paid premium prices for clean air and small-town charm. But retirement dreams are turning into financial nightmares. Healthcare costs have exploded by 38% since 2023, with many Medicare supplement plans no longer accepted at local facilities. When your medical expenses double on a fixed income, something has to give. Wildfire insurance is devastating budgets. Properties in Prescott's wooded neighborhoods now pay $12,000 to $18,000 annually for coverage, if they can get it at all. Some insurers have stopped writing new policies entirely after the Telegraph fire burned over 90,000 acres nearby. The demographic shift is stark. Yavapai County lost over 1,500 residents aged 65 to 74 in 2024, many citing unsustainable living costs. Younger families who might replace them can't afford entry-level homes that still cost over $400,000. Current median prices have dropped to $412,000. But that 15% decline barely makes a dent in affordability. Properties sit for an average of 115 days as sellers realize their retirement equity is evaporating. Days on market keep climbing as desperate retirees compete with each other in a shrinking buyer pool. When even luxury resort markets start showing cracks, you know the correction is reaching everywhere. Number 2, Swing Sedona proves that even Arizona's most exclusive luxury market isn't immune to spectacular collapse. This red rock paradise commanded some of the state's highest home prices, with luxury properties reaching $2.3 million in 2022 as wealthy buyers competed for spiritual retreats and stunning views. The high-end property glut is staggering. Homes priced above $1 million now represent 68% of active listings, creating an oversupply that's crushing values. Properties that once sold within days are sitting for 6 months or longer, with some luxury estates reducing prices by $500,000 or more. Tourism revenue has cratered, dropping 42% since 2023 as discretionary travel spending declined. When your economy depends on visitors with disposable income, economic uncertainty hits fast and hard. Resort occupancy rates fell to 51%, the lowest in over a decade. The service worker housing crisis is reaching a breaking point. Restaurant and hotel employees can't afford to live anywhere near Sedona, with median rents exceeding $3,000 monthly. Many businesses now operate with skeleton crews or reduced hours because they simply can't find workers who can afford the commute. Market speculation is unwinding dramatically. Investment properties purchased as vacation rentals are flooding the market as owners realize the numbers no longer work. Current median home prices have dropped to $1.8 million, a 22% decline that's accelerating. But if Sedona's luxury market can crash this hard, what does that mean for Arizona's largest metropolitan area, where the warning signs are even more alarming? Number one, Phoenix represents the epicenter of Arizona's housing catastrophe, where every warning sign we've seen across the state converges into a perfect storm. The nation's fifth largest city peaked at a median home price of $432,000 in 2022, fueled by massive corporate relocations and Sunbelt migration dreams. That boom is now a devastating bust. Water restrictions announced in late 2024 have fundamentally changed buyer psychology. When the Colorado River allocation was cut by another 25%, suddenly those sprawling desert subdivisions didn't look so appealing. Home values have crashed to $368,000, a brutal 14.8% decline. The inventory explosion is unprecedented. Active listings have increased by 137% year over year, representing nearly 11 months of supply. Properties that once sparked bidding wars now sit empty for 4 months or longer. Corporate relocation has ground to a halt. Major companies citing water concerns and climate risks are postponing or canceling Arizona expansion plans entirely. When your economic growth engine stops, housing demand evaporates overnight. The numbers tell a devastating story. Foreclosure filings spiked 84% statewide, with Maricopa County leading the surge. New construction permits dropped 67% as builders finally acknowledge reality. Phoenix isn't just experiencing a housing correction, it's becoming ground zero for a climate and water crisis that's fundamentally reshaping where Americans choose to live, work, and invest their futures.